Hi there, devotion today. I want to take you to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 1 onwards. It says, Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. In our life, there are different stages. Every age that we come across in our life, we have different kinds of experiences. That is the same way with Solomon. He was the son of David. In his young age, he has written the Song of Songs, a romantic book about love and relationship. When he was in his middle age, he became the king, and during that time, he has written so many proverbs. And in his Proverbs, you will understand how wise he was because God has given him great wisdom, because that is what he asked for God to give him. God gave him everything that he needed and more. But then in his later stages, he did not consider God that important because he compromised his life. And in his end, because he did so many things that is not pleasing to God, God was not very happy with him. And so, in his last stages in his life, Solomon has come to a place where he is able to look back and see what is more important and what is not important. And so he is writing this book of Ecclesiastes to give the reader a clear understanding of what is important in life and what is not important in life. And this book is a very interesting book. I like this book a lot because this book's uh, concept is that we see things clearly as life brings into our lives. So, a lot of advice and clear experience of Solomon is seen in this book. But when you come to the last few chapters, and he is writing so much about his search for meaning in life. When you don't have God and you search meaning in your life, and you will not find it. Because God created us for a purpose. That purpose is to find Him and worship Him. If we don't have God, then our life, the meaning of our life becomes so void. And that is why Solomon was feeling in his book that he was searching everything. He was searching for knowledge, he was searching for riches, he was searching for pleasure, and all these things that he has experienced, he has come up with one word. He says, meaningless. Everything becomes meaningless for him because without God, without obeying God, your life becomes meaningless. So he comes to a place in chapter 12. He says, Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. So he is encouraging the reader to fear God and follow Him. Remember the Creator, the one who has created you for a purpose. Without Him, you will not find meaning in life. And that is the advice that Solomon gives in his book, Ecclesiastes. Now, when you read the last two verses, it'll give you the whole conclusion of the whole search that he had in his life, in his last stages. Let me read verse 13 and 14. It says, Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep His commands, for this is the whole duty of man. So he says, if you live a life without meaning, it is because you don't have God. But if you find God, then your life becomes very meaningful. So what God desires, he says, the conclusion of the matter is that you are expected to fear God and obey Him and His commands. because that is the whole duty of man. See, when you find your purpose, just like Solomon did in his last stages, and you will find that your life becomes very meaningful. Verse 14 says, "For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden things, whether it is good or evil." In other words, Solomon is saying that anything that you do in your life, whether good or bad, it is going to be judged by God. A judgment is coming. And because a judgment is coming, we have to face the judgment. We have a responsibility to obey God and keep His commandments. When you keep His commandments and obey Him, you will find meaning for your life. A lot of people today, young people, are not finding meaning in their life because they look around and there's nothing for them to hold on to. And they kill themselves. Suicide is increasing in these days. So I encourage you to find God. Whatever stage you are in your life, you can really find God. You see, Samuel found God when he was so young. He was a young boy when God began to talk to him, and he became a great prophet. Same thing with Solomon. He was young, and God called him and loved him. But he left God and compromised with the world in search of all the other things except God. And he ended up saying, it is our duty to fear God and obey His commands. Because he says there's a judgment is coming and we have to prepare ourselves to face God. So this morning I encourage you, search your heart, live a life that's pleasing to God. If there is anything that you think you can hide it from God, you cannot. That is why it is important that we have to repent and turn away and obey God and be blessed. Then you will find meaning in your life. God bless you today as you live for Him.